It's now time to make the flap. So you need the decorated front flap, the other front flap, and a piece of interfacing cut to exactly the same size and shape. Start by putting your front flap with the decorated side up, then put the other piece of denim with the right side of the material facing downwards. Then place the interfacing over the top, making sure that all the rounded corners are matching up down the bottom. You need to pin through all 3 layers of your material because you're going to be sewing them all together. Go to your sewing machine, making sure that you have a denim needle and the denim foot in. Stitching 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the material, start going down the side. When you get to the curve at the bottom, just go slowly because you'll need to carefully go around this curve. If you're finding it quite difficult, you can always stop and just turn the hand wheel 1 stitch at a time until you get around that corner. Once you're on a straight bit again, you can continue using the foot pedal. You should look something like this when it's finished. The next step is to actually do what's known as clipping the curve and trimming off the seam allowance. So we start first of all by trimming all the seam allowance all the way around. We want to reduce some of the bulk, so we're just cutting it off. Make sure that you don't cut through any of your stitching, otherwise you'll end up with a hole in the flap. But carefully cut maybe 1/2 centimeter off all the way around. Once you've done that, you need to snip tiny little snips towards the stitching, but certainly don't go through them on the 2 corners. These are the 2 rounded edges. It's called clipping the curve. Once you've done that, you can turn your bag flap the right way out, and it should sit nice and smooth. The next thing we're going to do to help it stay nice and smooth when we're pinning it into the rest of the bag is we're actually going to stitch across the top just using a hand needle and a different coloured thread. So start by pinning across this open edge. That's just to hold the 3 layers in place and make sure that it's all nice and flat. Then get a normal hand needle and thread it up with a different colour thread. Red or bright yellow would be best. You don't need to tie any knots, you just need to pull your thread through. You can leave yourself a nice large tail at the end of it, just so that it won't come through your stitching. The stitches here can be, 1 to 2 centimeters long. You just want to go through all of your layers so that we can take the pins out. The idea here is that you're just stitching all 3 layers together to keep them flat and to get rid of the pins, because when you pin it all together it's going to be quite bulky and you don't want to have any pins hiding anywhere. When you get to the very end of your stitching, you can just pull your needle out and cut off your thread. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail because you are going to pull all that stitching out at the very end anyway. So that's your flap finished.